Welcome to Two Crazy Scoops Podcast with your hosts, Teo and Antino. This week, we have a variety of topics and things to talk about. Again, Aaron's going to examine my brain or something. I don't know what's going on, but there's a quiz involved. And I hate to break it to you guys, but I am not smarter than a fifth grader. So, we'll see how this goes.
I think that's the most truthful thing you've ever said.
I am not smarter than a fifth grader. Well, it is true. I hate that show. They're like, do you remember all these useless facts that these kids have no reason knowing?
Exactly. And it's still fresh in their heads.
Because that's all they have. They don't have taxes. They don't have anything. They got nothing going on in there.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
So an update about our last episode. We talked about the electronic arm thing or whatever, and you said you wanted to have a tail. We totally overlooked the fact of Dr. Octopus. I don't know how, but somehow we did. That was pretty much the concept, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you all made fun of me.
And I think that was like the best because he just walked with them. He would just like stand there and float around with all these arms doing his bidding. You wouldn't have to do anything. You're just like observing life at that point.
Exactly. As long as they can be programmed to do whatever you want, you're good.
Yeah. So another update was in the advice. I don't know. Oh, we were talking about the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
So I purchased the book that we were talking about. And instantly, as soon as I opened it up and I saw it, I was like, why did I buy this book? I thought it was so funny. And then reading it, I'm like, this is all about death. But I think I was just trying to prove my point that how people died at the Grand Canyon. But actually, it's very interesting.
So when you said purchase this book, you have to tell us what book you're talking about.
Oh, it's called Over the Edge, Death in the Grand Canyon. It's not just about how people died, though, but it's about the rescue missions that they went through in order to try to help people. But flipping through it, a lot of the deaths were solo hikers. People who are just going on a hike and not telling anybody where they're going. And I think, I don't know, it just happens too often, it seems like. But I always think about that one guy who went hiking and fell and got caught in between those two rocks. And then they made a movie out of him. I remember watching the news.
Huh? Did he have to cut his leg or something like that?
He cut his arm off, yeah, with like a pocket knife.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and it was not fun. And I remember watching it on the news, and basically he was just like, I didn't tell anybody where I was going, and I went hiking out into the wilderness.
I would have just had to die. I'm sorry. Nope.
Well, when you get in that situation, I don't know. You never know, Aaron. Keep a pocket knife on you at all times, or a very sharp, large butcher's knife with you at all times, just in case.
Or a machete. I mean, if you're going to carry it, might as well. I mean, I want one swing and you done. Not no,
Like several days later.
No.
No bueno.
Not at all.
No bueno. So my advice is, if you're going to go hiking, tell somebody about it. Don't be Mr. Tough Guy, because you'll have to be Mr. Tough Guy eventually.
Exactly. No, I agree. That's just logical sense. Some people should know where you're at. And I should probably do a better job at that myself. Although I never go hiking alone.
I go walking at Sabino Canyon sometimes, but I think that there's so many people there that you wouldn't really think about it. But there's sometimes when I'm walking and I'm like, oh, I want to walk near this stream, and you kind of go off the path and you wouldn't think that anything would happen, but you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think they'd know where to find me.
I've gone biking by myself before, but never hiking. So, because at least on a bike, if something happens, I can hopefully quickly get away.
Yeah.
That's the idea. When you're hiking, though, there's so much stuff that can go wrong. I just feel like it's always good to have at least one other victim with you so that you won't die alone. And that's what's most important.
Yeah, I'm not going hiking with you. I'm sorry, ever.
Why not?
Because I don't want to get eaten.
I've survived up until this point.
That's good. I'm glad. But yeah, usually if I'm going to go biking by myself long distances, I have the Strava app on, which kind of just keeps track of where you're at anyways. So that's interesting. But yeah, that's my advice. Aaron has finished eating. I'd like to let everyone know. Oh, no, he's not done eating yet. He still has some food to go.
I'm done. This is my last bite.
So now the real show can start. What are you quizzing me on?
A couple of things, but are we ready to get to that yet?
I don't know. Did you have any advice you wanted to share? Any riveting accounts of near-death experiences at the Grand Canyon?
Oh, go ahead.
No. I've already said my advice, so I can't give more advice.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna say something else. I don't think I have any advice this week.
Okay, I have another one that I just thought of because it was about the Grand Canyon. One time I was talking to somebody about, I forget what I was talking to them about. It was an older person. And they were like, do you know how you don't fall into the Grand Canyon? And I was like, you stay away from the edge? He's like, no, you don't go to the Grand Canyon. He's like, if you just stay clear of certain things, you won't have to worry about it. I was like, okay.
Well, that's true, I guess, but
Yeah, it was an interesting take. But the book itself was talking about some people did stupid things, and one guy, like sometimes people were just trying to do pranks. One guy was trying to pretend like he was falling off the edge, and how he fell, actually he fell farther than he thought he would, and he fell off the edge. And then he was just pulling a prank on somebody. Like trying to scare him.
yeah. See, stuff like that, I wouldn't mess around with stuff like that. Like, I don't play games with my life intentionally.
Yeah, intentionally. Well, they were talking about it's just like split-second decisions, you know? It's like you just choose one thing and the consequences for that choice are immense.
Yeah, but when you choose to play games in the Grand Canyon about falling off the edge and stuff like that, you have to realize that the possibility is there that you could roll off.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No. Those are not the kind of games I like to play.
Me neither.
So, for our quiz, I figured I would start off with some questions that I think are relatively easy. And for our listeners, before we reveal what the answer is, if you want to put your guesses in, you can make a comment on this story for this episode on Instagram, or just shoot us a DM on Instagram if you think you know the answer to these questions. But obviously, I'm going to give the answer, so you're going to have to pause it and take a guess before we get to the answers. In the meantime, we're going to test Antino, and I actually think that you're going to do a pretty good job with this quiz.
Dude, I'm terrible at quizzes.
I've
always been a bad test taker.
But I actually have faith in you, and that's rare. So I think you might actually know the answer to these questions. All right, so the first one has to do with music.
Oh,
it's
great.
pretty general. And the question is, excuse me for clearing my throat with the mic. All right, so the first question is, Antino, what are the top 5
Oh, no.
best-selling albums of all time?
Thriller, Dark Side of the Moon, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's band. Top 5? It has to be off the wall too, right? Didn't Michael Jackson have like multiple ones? Oh man.
Nope.
No, he didn't.
No.
The White Album.
And let me just say this. The exact numbers are up for debate a little bit, but it doesn't really change the top 5. But the actual numbers that I'm going to give are up for debate.
Okay. So
When
if
it
you want
comes
to
to the
debate
actual album
Aaron,
sales.
do it.
Yes.
Fight him in the streets.
All right. So what are your top 5? What's your final answer?
I could only think of 4. I said
Okay, so you said what?
I said Thriller,
Okay.
Dark Side of the Moon,
Okay.
Sgt. Pepper's, and I guess you said that Michael Jackson didn't have another one, so it probably has to be like a female artist, right? Or is it actual band? Can I at least get a hint?
Well, bands are included because you're talking about the album, not necessarily the artist themselves.
Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Okay.
It doesn't. So yeah, it could be female artist, male artist, or a band. It doesn't matter.
You know who would know is Google.
No, no, no googling. Stop looking down. Look into the camera because I'm watching you. No cheating.
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, still, what's your guess though?
I'll
You
just
still haven't guessed five.
okay.
Let's stop looking down. Look up.
The Beatles, their White Album.
Okay. Well, you got a couple of them correct.
I know Dark Side of the Moon's on there.
No, it's not.
It's
Actually.
not?
Nope. The only but
How dare they?
but The Wall did make it into the top 10.
The Wall by Pink Floyd. Okay.
It made it into the top 10. All right. So the answer is, and again, numbers are up for debate, but the Eagles' greatest hits actually just surpassed Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Wow.
So they've been going back and forth for years now as far as the best-selling album. But it's the Eagles' greatest hits is number one right now, allegedly. Michael Jackson's Thriller is number two. The Eagles' Hotel California album is number three. AC/DC Back in Black is number four. With 25 million. I forgot to give the number. So the Eagles' greatest hits has sold 38 million. Thriller has sold 33 million. Hotel California has sold 26 million. AC/DC Back in Black has sold 25 million. And the Beatles' White Album has sold 24 million albums, and that's number five.
Who do I complain to about this?
Well, again, there's so many, when it comes to album sales, there's a lot of debates because we're talking, it just depends on the source that you look up.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of these artists have sold more albums worldwide versus just in the U.S. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're only talking about U.S. bands?
Well, I just said I'm just going off the best, not necessarily just U.S. bands, but the best-selling albums of all time.
In the U.S. or in the U.K.?
No, it's best-selling all over the world.
I don't know, man. I think we're kind of talking out of our range of expertise here.
Well, here's the thing. So, and this is why I say it's controversial, because even in these lists that you can look up, the problem is that in certain countries, sometimes the album sales are counted a little bit different. And so that's why there's so much debate over who sold more, Michael Jackson or the Eagles.
I just don't know why the Eagles, though. Why the Eagles?
The greatest hits. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Never been like, oh, I'm going to listen to a full Eagles album. But maybe I have. I just didn't know.
Well, keep in mind that album came out, when did that album come out? I don't even know when that album came out.
Which album? Hotel California?
No, the Greatest Hits album.
Oh. Let me look it up real quick. We're looking for the Eagles.
Greatest Hits album, yeah.
Greatest Hits. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to look up the Eagles. But yeah, I never really spent the time. I mean, they came out in the 70s, 76. Pink Floyd's been around since 1968. The Beatles were big ever since 1964.
Early 60s.
Early
well,
60s?
They started in the early 60s, I guess, but they didn't have any hits until, I think, 63 or 64.
But their White Album's been out since 1968, and it's regarded as one of their greatest albums by some people, whereas Sgt. Pepper's is. But
yeah, Sgt. Pepper didn't make it into the top 10.
I only say that because whenever you're watching any documentary about rock music, they always talk about Sgt. Pepper's.
No, you're absolutely right. No, I agree with that. But as far as, because it's funny because the appreciation of an album versus the sales of an album are not always the same.
Okay.
You can have a critically acclaimed album, but it won't necessarily be the best selling.
So are we talking about the one that was released in 1976 by the Eagles? Their greatest hits?
Yeah, the greatest hits. Yep.
It has Take It Easy on here. I like that song. Witchy Woman. I don't know. I don't think I remember that one. Lion Eyes. I really like that song. Already Gone. Don't know. Desperado is really depressing, so I don't really listen to that much. One of These Nights. No. Tequila Sunrise I listen to a lot. Take It to the Limit's a nice song. And The Best of My Love. Peaceful, Easy Feeling. Let me see. Man, it's not playing. Well, there you go. Thank you,
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
Have
And
you
just
ever...
to finish,
Sorry.
go ahead, go ahead. No,
Have
go
you
ahead.
listened to any of these albums, though?
Yeah, I absolutely have.
Have you listened to the White Album all the way through?
Um, I don't think I listened to it all the way through. No,
I think if you did, you'd be shocked.
maybe. I do like the Beatles, so
Well, it's kind of interesting because with the Beatles' White Album, it's a compilation basically of each of their individual songs that they kind of wrote and recorded separately because they were kind of already in a place where they're most likely going to be breaking up.
right.
So because of that, because the songs are so different and you can kind of tell who wrote them, there's a thing called the Black Album.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Which is like a compilation of their songs they did and their own solo projects. So if no one's ever heard of it, it's like there's playlists online and it just has all of their songs that they recorded as solo artists and it's a compilation of their greatest hits kind of. So it's like a weird extra Beatles album if you want to get into that.
Interesting. Huh. I never actually heard the Black Album though.
It doesn't
In fact, when you,
exist,
when you
really.
say the Black Album, I think of Jay-Z because he did an album called the Black Album.
Maybe
But
he's
he
a
was,
Beatles
but,
fan.
no, but he was, yeah, he took that.
Yo,
from the
here
Beatles,
comes the sun.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure that's exactly how he would say it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see it. I have to look at it. I see it. It is, fortunately, it's on Spotify, though. So I've heard a lot of these songs, but I don't think I've ever listened to this all the way through.
I'm just telling you, the Eagles are not an artist that I go straight to and be like, they are one of the greatest bands in the world, Aaron.
No,
You
but
need to listen to this.
No. But this is not the greatest bands of all time. This is the
Most
best-selling
selling
albums. Yeah, as far as sales are concerned. So you're not talking about, because if you were to look at the overall Beatles sales, if you look at all their albums and then look at all of the Eagles albums, you might see a bit of a
Okay.
difference.
Yeah.
And that actually brings me to my next quiz question for you, which is, and again, this is still around music. Who are the top 5 best-selling artists of all time, including bands?
You see, this is so bad now because every time I look at new music, they're like, this person sold out this many albums in this amount of time. And you're like, seriously? Like, I don't know how they count it now. But of all time, I'd have to say the
Of all
Beatles.
time.
I would hope
Okay.
Pink Floyd's up there because that is one of my favorite bands
The top
of
5?
all time. Yes.
Okay.
Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Well, now I have to say the Eagles. Gosh.
You don't have to.
Stinking Eagles, man.
You don't have to say them if you don't want.
I have to guess the Eagles now. And
Just because
what?
nothing. Go ahead.
And there has to be a female artist in there somewhere, right?
No,
No.
not even in the top 10. And and by the time the first female shows up in the list, it's number 12, and you would be surprised who it is because I was surprised, sort of.
Is it Cher?
No. Good guess though, but no. Someone else.
Is it
But
that English lady that sang on like America's Got Talent? That'd be really funny.
Oh, you're talking about. Oh,
Susan Boyle.
that would be great. That would be
Susan
great.
Boyle.
Susan Boyle,
Yeah.
yeah. That would be awesome if that was the case. But no.
I told Anna, I was like, that was so messed up when I watched it because they're like, but you're ugly. How can you sing so beautifully? That was pretty much the reaction. Come on.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this ugly lady can sing really nice. What a surprise. What a shock.
It wasn't just her looks. It was also her quirkiness and the stuff that she was saying.
I don't know.
She was very quirky too. So
Still
it was kinda
messed up.
I agree. She did
Susan
put out a good
Boyle.
album, but she has a good voice. All right. So you said the Beatles, the Eagles, and who else?
Pink Floyd,
Pink Floyd.
Michael
Okay.
Jackson,
Michael Jackson.
and
And
oh gosh, it has to be a '70s band that I can't. Led Zeppelin. Let's just say Led Zeppelin.
you're really good at this. So you definitely all your answers, I believe, made it into the top 10. Not quite the top 5. So we'll start at number 1, the Beatles.
Okay, that
With
makes
over
sense.
with over
Oh,
100
Bob Dylan.
with over 180 million albums sold.
Okay.
Number 2 is Garth Brooks
Garth
with
Stinkin' Brooks.
yes, if you yep, with over 156 million. Yeah,
My
that country music,
gosh.
man, is unstoppable. Number 3 is Elvis
Oh, I forgot
with
about Elvis.
146 million albums sold.
Okay.
Number 4 is the Eagles with 120 million sold, of course, like you said. And number 5 is Led Zeppelin
Yeah.
with 111 million albums sold.
Yeah.
So you're right. You pretty much got it. Um, Billy Joel was number 6
Okay.
with 84 million. Michael Jackson's number 7, also with over 84 million. Elton John was number 8. AC/DC was number 9 with 75 million, over 75 million. And Pink Floyd was number 10, also with
Yeah.
over 75 million albums sold. And
But to be honest, to be number 10 in the genre that they do is a pretty big deal because they're not like country or this or that. It's like
right,
their own kind of sound.
yeah, and plus the time that they started too.
Yeah.
They've had a chance to amass a huge following over those years. When you have longevity in this, and you can definitely pull that off.
Unless you're Garth Brooks.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And the first female to show up on the list is Barbara Streisand with over 68 million albums sold.
Why is that a shocker?
Um, because I would have thought it would have been like
Can it be that it was all so simple
no.
then?
I would have thought it would have been like Mariah Carey or maybe like Whitney Houston or I don't know what other female artists.
I don't think Barbara Streisand's on Spotify.
Or maybe like a Madonna type person. As far as
Madonna.
solo, as far as solo female,
She was pretty
artist.
big back in the day.
She was. She's number 17.
So
But the first female artist is Barbara Streisand, and then Mariah is 14, and then Madonna,
yeah.
and then Whitney,
So
and then Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, I like Fleetwood Mac. So do you? This is just a side thing. Do you get upset? Well, I don't know. Like whenever like there's these TikToks and they go after all of these songs that I've grown up loving, and now like they're just getting ruined.
I'm sorry, my screen just went blank. They're getting what?
Ruined.
As far as covers are concerned?
No, they're just like they add this song and it becomes like a trend about stuff, and then it's like all this
No,
music that I really liked, and then now all these people know about it. So it seems like my whole musical taste is just based off of what goes off on a TikTok.
Wait, so you stopped liking the song because it's popular
No,
on
I'm just
TikTok?
like, oh, I really like this song, but then to like kids, they're like, oh, you heard that on TikTok. It's like, no, I listened to the original album. That's just
Yeah, I'm not.
that's the hipster.
Yeah,
Me.
I'm not really. Yeah, I'm not really on TikTok like that, so I don't really
No, I don't have it
follow
either,
what's
but it's
going
like
on.
gets on Instagram and people will send me like, "Oh, look at this guy drinking juice and skateboarding down the street with this Fleetwood Mac song." And I'm like, "Is this funny?"
Sorry about that. All right,
Anyways,
cool.
tangent.
Last, yeah, no, it's all good. All right, last quiz for you. And why does my? I don't know why it does that. Sorry. So last question is, the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time.
Top 5 highest grossing movies of all time? Ugh. Well, I'd have to say Star Wars. A New Hope. No?
Well, you just give me your top 10, your top 5, I mean, and I'll tell you after it.
Star Wars, Jurassic Park. There's probably a lot of rated R movies that I haven't seen on this list, too. Because one time I was like, oh, I'm just going to look up what the greatest films of all time are, and I'll watch them. And, like, it was all...
Well, generally, when you're talking about the highest grossing, usually it's a more general audience. They're not typically rated R movies.
Oh, okay.
As far as the highest grossing. Now, if you start talking about critically acclaimed, that's a different story. But generally, when you're talking about grossing, the most people can come see it.
Got it. So is Jurassic Park on there? So what did I say? Star Wars, Jurassic Park. Mm-hmm. Is Willy Wonka on there? The Sound of
that's
Music.
3.
I don't know. Rocky. I'll just throw that one in there.
Okay. Nice. So what you did is just reminded me of a different quiz that we'll take next time.
Oh, great.
Because your answers should have been the answers to what are the top 5 grossing movies of all time when adjusted for inflation.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because the top 5 grossing are none of those movies. But if you would adjust them for inflation, I think you still have, movies like Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
I think the original Jurassic Park. I think Titanic might still be on there.
Titanic, yeah. That's
when you look at adjusted for
inflation.
Inflation. But right now, as of right now, the top 5 grossing movies of all time is Avengers Endgame with $2.7 billion.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would make more sense. It'd have to be ones that came in the past, 4 years, right?
Well, Avatar is number 2, and it's 2.78 billion as well. And that came out in 2009. Titanic is 2.1 billion.
Wow.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens is at 2 billion.
Oh gosh.
And Avengers: Infinity War is at 2 billion as well.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know stuff like that. I'm not good with statistics. Statistics.
No, you did good. You said Star Wars. And Jurassic Jurassic World is number 6 with 1.6 billion. But like I said, if we adjusted it for inflation, I think those movies that you said would actually be in there. But anyway, that's my quiz for this time. This episode.
That's your quiz.
You did a good job. That's my quiz.
Thank you. I will try to get the cheering on here, but I don't know how. I gotta turn it up. There we go. Got the audience. Everyone's clapping. Thank you. And that was Aaron's segment of making me remember things that I don't know about. I'm still surprised that AC/DC was on there. I don't know. I like the Eagles, AC/DC, not the greatest stuff. But what we should do now is I am going to... we're going to go to a brief commercial break. We'll be right back, where you can hear Aaron eating some more. And my laughter. Laughter for no reason. And we're back. So, Aaron, I am going to share my screen with you right now. And in my travels of trying to find new musical instruments, I came across this, and it blew my mind. I just do not know. Oh, there we go. Share content. Screen. Start it. Okay. You can see it?
Uh-huh.
Can you see this? Well, can you describe what this is? What's happening, Aaron?
Um, it's I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's a fan with a microphone, I guess. And put it up against the metal of the microphone.
So what I think it is they have like a barcode going around the fan, and that's a scanner that he's holding in his hand. And
Oh, that's a scanner?
Yeah, and I'll show you the next video. So this was that one, and
I don't know if people can hear us over. Well, I can't hear myself hardly over.
no,
the
we can
noise
hear
of
you on
video.
the machine here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there's a lady wearing a barcode dress. These guys are running around her with scanners and creating this music.
Oh, that is hilarious. Wow.
So they're almost like kung fu fighting. And it's a mix between musical and some weird artsy stuff that I don't even know what's going on.
Okay, it's a good thing that she's holding that the other way.
So
That
yeah,
was pretty crazy. Wow. That was crazy.
I just wanted to get your reaction to it, Aaron.
So you saying the guy had a barcode scanner against the fan?
Yeah, so like there's a barcode for what would be the fan blades that start spinning, and then he's scanning it, and because of the movement, it creates tones. So as he goes outside of the barcodes, they kind of get farther away from each other and make a higher pitch, and then once he goes inwards into the middle, it creates a lower pitch.
Clever. That's pretty clever.
I
like
don't know what made these people come up with that, but the barcode thing was just funny to me.
that. Yeah, no, that was clever. I've never seen anything like that. That was a good idea. Huh. Very creative. You know, it's funny. It just reminded me though that we have instruments that are pretty typical and standard, especially in American music. But there's so many instruments that are not used, at least not in pop music, especially that create a very unique sound. And we're just talking about instruments that already exist, let alone creating new ones.
Well, that's what
It's
I was
kind of
thinking about. I was like, there's no way you can make a new instrument right now. Like, everything's been done. And then I saw that and I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
yeah. So you can easily create a new instrument, but the question is, will it catch on? I don't know. I don't know if it'll catch on to the point where everyone's going to learn it. But I mean, you can do your own unique thing. You know, I have a friend of mine who makes violins, and he made something. I don't know what it would be called, but it's kind of like a cross. It's almost like it's somewhere. It's like bigger. It's like almost like a viola, but it's a violin. But he made it a little bit bigger than your typical violin, and it has like extra strings on it. And he kind of did an interesting design on it, but he calls it his violin. But I mean, it's not your standard size by any means. But because he did make it a little bit bigger than the average violin, the sound is a little bit different. So I don't even know if it technically is considered that or not. I'm not sure.
yeah.
He builds his own instruments though, and that's something he created. So I know in the string world, if it gets to a certain size, the name of the instrument actually changes. I know you have violins, you have violas, and then you have cellos, and then the bass. So if you create something in between, I don't know what that would be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, I don't make that stuff, so I wouldn't really know. But one time I, like, hooked up, or I tied a guitar string to two metal rods that were, like, cold. It's like a bookshelf that was metal. And then I tightened it, and then I just used a violin bow on it with a slide. And it was like, you could change the pitch that way, like with the brass slide you use for a guitar. But nothing really sounded cool. It was just a bizarre noise.
But like, isn't like for example, because like you play the guitar, so it isn't, well, at least when it comes to acoustic guitars, aren't they all relatively the same size?
Yeah, I mean, you have like smaller ones for children, and they have smaller ones. I don't know why, but people buy them. They're actually a lot, like the neck size is different, the fretboard size is different. But yeah, they're all generally the same size. You just have to make sure you're not buying a small one.
Yeah, and I think it's like that because they create a very specific sound that you want to be able to pick up and just play. And so it makes sense that they'd be around the same size. But I remember watching, there's this one artist who, when she used to perform, she would, and I'm sure there's probably many people who can do it. But it was interesting because that was the first person I ever saw do it. But she would take the guitar and instead of playing it like on her lap or where the strings are facing away from her, she would set it on her lap facing up. Have you ever seen anyone play like that? And she would play the guitar, but the guitar is sitting on her lap with the strings facing straight up.
Well, that's weird.
It was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really interesting to see someone play like that. But I mean, I think it sounded relatively the same. I think, but I thought it was pretty cool. Well, so anyway, I guess I say that just to say, there's so much creativity that goes not only into instruments, but instruments that we already have that people just play and use differently.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a theremin? That's how I found this band, is because that guy created an instrument where you move your hands and it makes a noise. So it's similar concept to what those people were doing with the barcode scanner. Let me see.
Электромузыкальный инструмент терминвокс – это первый инструмент такого типа. Это песенно-голосовой инструмент. В нем управление достигается посредством влияния на электромагнитное поле около инструмента.
I hope he's not cursing in Russian. So he's got his hand, I don't know if it's like magnets or electricity or what, but it creates like such a scary tone.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was that. And now I can't get back to Zoom. What am I doing? Your microphone is muted. Your video has stopped. Okay, good. Tap to speak. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. This is great.
I can't hear you now, but I was able to hear you before.
And I had to leave the chat room. Let's go back to Zoom. Let's go back to Zoom. Let's go back to Zoom. Join with video. Call using internet audio. There we go. We're back.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
It's all in a day's work.
Okay. The next thing that I have is I've been looking up like news articles because you wanted to talk about news articles at one point.
Yeah, or current events.
One of them's about password protection. There's another one where a kid spends $16,000 on an iPad game in-app purchases.
And what's funny is over the years, that's happened so many times, you would think people would have got the hint by now. You would think, but no. Apparently not.
Yeah, my friend used to do that with his Xbox. He bought a lot of games and his parents found out. It was not a good time.
But how do they even let you make a purchase that large? Like, to me, there should be some permission or some double check saying, hey, someone's trying to make a purchase over $1,000 worth of apps. Are you sure you want to let this go through? There should be some type of, because this has happened many times before.
I think that's just how they make their money.
Okay, well.
We need to have in-app purchases there, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
To get the rest of this show, pay Aaron $1.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, and it says over the summer of 2020, a 6-year-old spent over $16,000 in the App Store. So it wasn't just one purchase, it was like multiple purchases.
But how do you? All right, okay, but over the summer, that means over a few months. You mean to tell me over a couple of months went by and you didn't check your credit card statements or your bills or any of that?
It
Your
started
emails?
in July. Started buying add-ons in the game starting at 199 pack to 99 bundles, dollar packs. It says the transactions were initially thought to be fraud or a mistake by Johnson, who found it almost impossible to figure out that they originated from in-app purchases. After filing a fraud claim with Chase, she was then informed that charges were genuine and was told to contact Apple. She's okay. It says when she contacted Apple and was talked through a buried running list of all the charges and seeing the Sonic icon, because it was Sonic Forces that he was playing, she realized it was her son's fault. It's like my 6-year-old was doing lines of cocaine and doing bigger and bigger hits, Johnson said.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, basically. I would have to agree with her.
Apple refused to refund her money as she didn't inform the company within 60 days of the charges.
They refused?
Uh-huh.
And how much was it?
$16,000.
Yeah, usually when it's a high amount like to get a refund.
It says Apple refused to refund her money as she didn't inform the company within 60 days of the charges.
Well, I still think that's kind of, yeah. I don't know how you do that. Like I said, anytime I make a purchase, I get an email, number one, letting me know that a purchase was made, and number two, the money when I get the charge, there's no way in the world I can let 2 months go by without seeing a charge, especially for that much money. How do you not see that? If she had $16,000 lying around, then
Off a credit card, though, I mean, her credit must be pretty high up there.
right, that's what I'm saying. Your limit has to be pretty high. And like I said, for you not to pay attention for 60 days or more than 60 days, at least look at your statement and say, hey, I owe, $10,000 this month, and last month my balance was zero. Like, how do you not keep a track of your bills? Like, I don't understand that.
So you're blaming her. You say that she deserves to be taken for $16,000.
I'm not, well, what I'm saying is, how do you not notice? That's all I'm asking. I still think, in my opinion, Apple should have refunded her the money, especially since it was a kid doing all this stuff. And once they realized it, they should have given her a refund. So I'm not saying I'm, happy she didn't get a refund. But on the flip side, I'm thinking, like, how do you let someone charge that much money and you not notice? And it shouldn't take you more than 60 days to notice that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it says the mother then went on to accuse the games of being completely predatory and encouraging spending by younger users.
And not only that, but there's also you can also put locks on.
Well, that's what it says. It says Apple has offered a number of parental control options over the years to manage a child's access on an iPhone or iPad.
Yeah.
The
And so that's
best
probably.
The
Go
best
ahead, I'm
part of
sorry.
this is how this news article ends. It says, looking for the lowest iPad price to give Sonic Forces a try? Holiday iPad deals are going on now with prices from $299. They're like, only thing you should get from this is that playing Sonic Forces is like doing lines of cocaine if you're 6 years
Right.
old.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny. Huh. Nice. I'm gonna have to find some stories like that. That's a good idea.
Okay, Aaron. I think this episode's over. We've said it all.
I think it was a good one.
Is there anything you'd like to conclude with? Do you have new advice to say now? Because I think you...
I mean, to me, the only advice you get from that is just don't be stupid.
But if you have a child, you don't always know what's going on, Aaron. One day you wake
agree.
up and
No.
$16,000 have been funneled out of your phone.
Okay, and if it's okay, but if it's in one day, you need to find that out within 60 days. That's all I'm saying. You should know if your child does spend that much money. You should know. And again, maybe if you make a lot of money, maybe it's easy for $16,000 just to go missing and you not blink an eye. But for me, that's impossible. Number one, because I don't have $16,000. And number two, if no, that's ridiculous. So
the news article I chose not to talk about, instead I've decided to talk about the credit card fraud, or not fraud. The other article was going to be about a truck filled with 20,000 pounds of cheese balls overturns on the freeway. There's nothing in this article that makes anything funny. It's just the title of it made me laugh so hard.
Right, exactly. Well, did the cheese balls come out of the truck?
A truck loaded with 20,000 pounds of cheese balls. 20,000 pounds of cheese balls. Enough to crush you, Aaron.
Right.
You would be dead.
A lot of cheese.
Was involved in a crash in the outer building, causing 2 right lanes to close. We have a sand truck there to help clean up the scene. The truck was on its side.
Balls, so they did come out of the truck?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess if they're all on the ground, you wouldn't want to eat those.
Yeah, Aaron. Because if it was dry, you'd be all for it.
Right.
You're like, well, the first layer is touching the ground, but the second and fourth layer...
Exactly. Those aren't touching anything.
One local resident decided to help in the process of cleaning up. Hi, my name's Aaron Owens. I really like cheese balls.
Exactly. I like the way you worded that. He's helping to clean up the mess.
Local authorities have advised him to stop as now he's passed out on the ground. They're just wheeling
Apparently
you away.
From a heart attack, I know.
They're wheeling you away, and you're like, I just care about the environment, okay?
Exactly. Oh, man. That's hilarious.
So, yeah. This has been 2 crazy scoops. Get in the loop. Come on. Next week's episode, I don't even know at this point, man.
Who knows? Just come back next week.
My brain is dead today. And you were like, what topics are we going to talk about? And I was like, the Grand Canyon and cheese balls.
Yeah, but we did a lot though. We talked about music, movies, instruments, fraud.
I'm kind of sad that my brain is so dead. I think that's what the episode title is going to be, is the Grand Canyon and cheese balls.
That's a good one.
It's the best I can come up with.
It makes you want to listen to find out how we get from one topic to the other.
Well, see you later, folks. Enjoy the rest of the week. Eat the cheese balls.